Hello and welcome to the Author Webinar Series, brought to you by the Nonfiction Authors Association and Writers Conference. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you are seeking guidance for your own author journey and want to reach your goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. We look forward to connecting with you and hope you enjoy this webinar.
Hey everyone, welcome to another educational webinar event with the Nonfiction Authors Association. I am your host, Stephanie Chandler, and today we're talking about common book marketing mistakes and how you can fix them. And I have to tell you guys, I redid the slide deck so many times. I really debated what I wanted to highlight in the short amount of time we have together because there are so many things you can do. So I feel like I have it narrowed down to the topics I most want for you to take away from this today. So without further ado, let's get rolling. And before we dig into the topics, I just have to ask, are you overwhelmed? Are you feeling a little frustrated maybe with book marketing? Maybe don't know which steps to take next? That's probably why you're here today. So if you feel like this dog, you are not alone. I would imagine many of you are feeling this way. Feel free to share in the chat if you are. And my goal today, when we get to the end of this, is that you feel a little more hopeful and you go from sad dog to happy dog, because it doesn't have to be as difficult as it feels right now. All right, so we're going to go through 10 mistakes that I see and how to fix them. And starting with number one, and those of you who've been with me for a while know how much I emphasize casting a smaller net, really getting clear on who is your target audience. Are you writing a weight loss book, or is it a weight loss book for teenagers or new moms or college students? Are you writing a leadership book, or is it a leadership book for tech company founders or for middle management in retail stores? So the narrower you can focus, the easier it is to stand out. There are so many general books in the world today. And in fact, we're hearing all kinds of statistics about more than 1 million new books are being released each year. So if you want to be more than a drop in that Amazon ocean, it can really help to narrow your focus. So thinking about who does your book serve? Career-focused moms who don't have much time, people living with chronic illness, or even more narrow, a specific illness, people living with MS or fibromyalgia. So can you narrow it down? Is it women over 40 who need to lose more than 50 pounds? Is it college students studying biology and don't know what they're going to do next with their careers? So I really encourage you to spend time asking this question of yourself and how you can narrow your focus to reach a greater audience and stand out in what is such a crowded space in books today. So getting clear, what created an ideal reader? What is their age? What are their lifestyle choices? What are behaviors? What sites do they visit? What are they struggling with? And what transformation does your book achieve? So for those of you writing prescriptive nonfiction, what transformation does your book help them achieve? Share it in the chat. I'm going to read this chat. I'd love to know, what transformation does your book achieve? And then memoir writers, who will relate to your story? We read memoir because we want to relate to something in the book, or we have an interest in it. So for example, if you're writing about overcoming addiction, a reader might choose that because they've either struggled with this themselves or someone in their family has, and they're interested in the topic. So find that hook in your book and determine who will relate to what your book is about. I've become a greater and greater fan of AI tools, not for writing our books, but certainly for brainstorming and idea generation. So I have a prompt for you here. If you haven't tried AI tools yet, open up ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever your tool of choice is, and try a prompt like this. My book is about, explain what it's about. It's written for, explain your target reader. Create a list of their common interests, needs, and challenges that I can address through marketing. This is great intel, you guys, that will help you understand what are the struggles your audience is having so that you can address them. So I asked it, I'm writing a book about how to write a nonfiction book. It's written for people writing business, self-development, spiritual history. And then I asked it to create a list of the interests, needs, and challenges. And it gave me back a great list. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I know a lot of these, but I always find this interesting and helpful. And sometimes it will jog my memory for something I haven't thought about in a while that maybe the audience is struggling with. And when you use AI, I want to really remind you to turn off data tracking. We don't want AI keeping track of our data. So within any AI tool, there should be under your settings a control that says improve the model for everyone or track my data. Turn that off before you use your AI tools. And then also, when you get the output, don't take it for its exact word. We want to use common sense. Sometimes it hallucinates. It might give you a wacky idea that makes no sense. Toss that. So and you can ask it follow-up questions, right? So create a more detailed list, focus on this topic specifically, things like that. But I really encourage you to start embracing these tools. But ultimately, the goal here is to understand who is your target audience and then address the things that they are interested in or they're struggling with. And we do that through content marketing, through sharing blog posts and articles and speaking and podcasts and things like that. So we're going to go through some of the ways that you can do that as well. Mistake number 2 is aiming for one reader at a time. I see so many authors doing this, and that could be where you're offering a copy of a book. Let's say you go to a networking meeting or your local writers group and you're carrying around a book saying, do you want to buy my book? Do you want a copy? One book at a time is a really hard way to sell books. And a big way I see people doing that is at book signing events at bookstores. I've said many times, I am not a fan of these. I am a former bookstore owner, by the way, and these events were always challenging unless the author did a bunch of marketing or got a bunch of media coverage to get people to come in. Mostly when you're sitting at a book signing table, and here we are launching a chicken soup book 10 steps inside the front door of a Barnes & Noble on a Saturday. Mostly what we did was direct people to the restroom, right? That's what you end up doing at these events. And in a 3-hour time period, after having media coverage that morning, we sold 11 books. It was not a good use of our time. Now, let's flip that. Imagine that you go and you speak at an event. You know what happens after speaking at an event? A line of people want to come talk to you. So flip that around. You can sit at a bookstore passively hoping someone asks about your book, or you can speak at an event and have people lined up to want to learn more from you. So I really encourage you to embrace speaking. I did not set out to be a speaker and realize I needed to decide it was a great use of my time. Speakers sell books. So you can reach large audiences this way, and there are endless speaking opportunities, likely within 100 miles of where you live. So you could be speaking to Rotary clubs and Kiwanis service groups, schools, libraries, chambers of commerce, nonprofits, and trade associations. These groups have local meetings, and most of them have chapters in various cities, and they host monthly meetings where they bring in guest speakers. So, what organizations do your target readers belong to? There's also churches, retirement communities. In the Sacramento area, we have a ton of big, fancy retirement communities, and they bring authors in to do talks on some sort of useful topic. There's adult learning centers and healthcare organizations. Even your local media. We have the Sacramento Business Journal. They have a meeting space and they've brought me in to teach to their readers in the past. There's military organizations, real estate offices. I could go on and on. So, if you're interested in speaking, and I hope you are, step one is add a speaker page to your website. Come up with, I recommend 3 topics, come up with 3 compelling topics. You're not there speaking about your book, you're there to deliver value, some sort of transformational insight from your book. And yes, memoir writers, that applies to you as well. So, what lessons did you learn through the story that you're sharing? And how can you translate that into a presentation for an audience? So, your topics, your titles, and descriptions, testimonials if you've spoken at past events, and certainly logos and lists of organizations where you've spoken. And if you don't have that yet, don't worry. You can add them as you get them, and video of you speaking. And then start reaching out to these organizations. Many of them have a speaker submission form or they put out a call for speakers. This is a great way to start selling lots of books quickly. All right, mistake number 3, waiting for sales to happen. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just sit back and let our book sales happen without us? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So I wanted to introduce you to Susie Kundrat, who has been through several of our courses over the years. She took our book writing course years back and actually followed the guidance, wrote her book, did the publishing course, published her book, and then she took it on a whole new level. She bought this fantastic conversion van and toured the country delivering her message about Eat, Move, Groove, her book. And I think you can surmise from the title, it is about nutrition. She's a nutritionist. And she basically reached out to her community of influence, the people that she knows, and said, "Hey, I'm coming to your city. I'd love to do a presentation on Eat, Move, Groove, Wellness." And she did dozens of presentations to groups of all sizes. Charmaine Hammond did the same thing. She actually borrowed an RV, a local RV retailer loaned her an RV. She had it wrapped with her Million Acts of Kindness tour. And this was all based around her book about her dog. It's like Wisdom from Toby. It was really sweet. And she spoke in all kinds of locations. She said she spoke at pet food stores, office conference rooms, all kinds of places. She traveled 10,000 miles. She got sponsors for her tour. So she really coordinated a big effort. You don't necessarily have to take it this far, but I wanted to inspire you on what's possible. And she spoke anywhere that would have her with her whole message of the Million Acts of Kindness. And so you could create your own tour. And by the way, Susie Kundrat came through the Sacramento area and I got to meet her in person, which is so rare. I work with so many people online that it's really rare I get to meet you guys in person. So that was a special treat. So create your own tour. You develop your speaking programs, reach out to the people you know. Even if you just do 3 cities in the next 3 months and they're all within 100 miles of you, that's great, right? Start there and ask for introductions. Ask people to connect you. Leverage the people you know. And this is your community of influence. So these are your peers, your friends, your past coworkers. They're the people in your community that you can reach out to and say, "Hey, I'm doing this tour. Could you bring me in to speak at your company and do a lunch and learn? Could you introduce me to somebody that works for this trade association and connect me with a speaking opportunity?" You'd be amazed what asking can do. And as a reminder, yes, I will share the slides and the recording later today. All right, mistake number 4, lack of visibility. So we're sitting back waiting for sales. That's not working. What do we do next? Podcasts. So authors, please don't miss this opportunity. Podcasts are such a fabulous way for you to reach larger audiences. There are podcasts on all kinds of subjects, everything from estate planning to parenting to religion to business to publishing, you name it. There's a podcast that's talking about it. And so when you can locate the shows that reach your target audience, you can apply to be a guest on these shows. I would say 9 out of 10 podcasts have submission guidelines on their websites. So, literally, just start by searching Spotify or Apple Podcasts and search for keywords related to your topic. Another trick, look for authors, competing authors. What podcasts have they been on? Because those podcasts are likely a good fit for you too. Also, an underutilized marketing opportunity is writing guest articles for either large sites that reach broad audiences that potentially have your readers, or niche sites that reach your audience. The sites I've listed here are some of the best ranked sites there are for articles, and they all accept guest posts. So Psychology Today, we have lots of therapists in our community. You should all be writing for Psychology Today. Huffington Post, Harvard Business Review, Elephant Journal for those of you doing holistic topics and wellness, Ariana Huffington's Thrive Global. There's Edutopia if you're writing for the educational market. So also look to what sites is your audience visiting and can you write for those sites? Because this gives you an opportunity to get in front of their audiences. And these sites often also share their content to their massive social media networks. So easy opportunity to land exposure. And then video. Now, I'm looking in a mirror as I tell you all that we need to embrace video. With the proliferation of AI, it is going to get harder and harder to get attention online. And video is a human function, right? So when you are showing your face and sharing your advice or your insights on video, it is a far better way to connect with an audience and stand out today. And by the way, YouTube is the second largest search engine next to Google. Think about that. So people are going to YouTube looking for answers to their questions. I go to YouTube for how-to things. I just had to set the timer on my sprinklers and I went to YouTube to figure out, I don't know why they make those things so complicated, but I went to YouTube looking for how to do that. So I really encourage you to think about what you could be sharing with video and embracing it. And I will tell you, this is a weak area for me. I'm trying to step it up. It is much easier for me to sit here and teach something. And so rather than feeling like you're just talking to the abyss, imagine you have an audience in front of you and you're teaching them something, and share those videos, optimize them to get found. And this is another great way to build your audience. And by the way, sharing content like this is how the influencers build influence. It's getting out in front of their audiences by sharing valuable content. All right, mistake number 5, investing in scammy services. Oh my goodness, this is a huge issue right now. I've been blogging about it. There are service providers reaching out by email, or alleged service providers, I should say. And they're targeting you saying, I loved your book. It's amazing. I loved how you focused on, how to live in North Dakota and gardening in North Dakota, or whatever it's about. And it makes it sound like they've actually read your book, but they haven't. They're crawling the internet and using AI to write these very flattering summaries of your book and then try to sell you on their services. Please beware of these email solicitations. They are rampant right now. There's also lots of impersonations going on. Someone is out there impersonating me, saying, oh, I love your book about the history of, World War II. I'd love to feature your book at the Nonfiction Writers Conference. That is not me. We do not send those types of email solicitations. And I'm getting them as well. I got one the other day from John Grisham. Would you believe John Grisham loved my nonfiction book marketing book? It's just wild what's happening out there. But I could also imagine somebody who's writing thrillers gets an email from John Grisham saying, "Gee, I really loved your book. Holy cow, that is amazing." And then you start to engage and you think you're talking to that author, but you're not. And I'm seeing all kinds of authors reporting this online. It's happening with everyone. So please do not fall for these solicitations. And before you invest in any service, whether it comes into your inbox or you see it in a social media ad, do your due diligence. Go search Google for the company name plus reviews, the company name plus scam. And when in doubt, ask. So this is a big value we can bring in our community, is helping you avoid these really costly mistakes. Ask us if a service you're considering is reputable. I answer these questions every week. All right, mistake number 6, having a static author site or no site at all. And by static site, I mean you have a site that doesn't change. Maybe you have a 3 or a 5-page author site. What you really want is a site that's dynamic, that you're adding content to on a regular basis. Google prioritizes websites that are updating frequently, and we do that through blogging. And that could be written blogs, that could be video posts, podcast episodes, but that is how we get a more dynamic website. So if you don't yet have a site, or your site is just 1 or 2 pages, I would encourage you to expand that. Website design has gotten much more affordable over the years. And really, you want a book page, an about, you want a media page. If you want to speak, set up that speaker page, have a way for people to contact you, and please add a blog. This is how we start to attract more visitors to our websites. And so my recommendation for all authors is that you need at least one piece of foundational content. And that by that, a written blog, a podcast, or video. You could do a combination of these, but you need at least one that you're producing on at least a weekly basis and updating your site to bring in traffic. And this content also helps you engage your audience. You're delivering value. It gives you something to share on social media. It is just tremendously valuable to have some content being added to your site regularly. All right, mistake number 7, please do not ignore email marketing. Every one of you should be building an email list, whether you already have 3 books out or you're writing your first book. Now is the time to start building your email list. Social media is rented real estate. When you're building an audience on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever it is, that could disappear overnight because you don't own that real estate. With email marketing, it's an asset you own. You rent a tool to deliver it, maybe a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, but you own the database. And email is a much more direct and personal form of communication. So when somebody gives you their email address, they're giving you permission to market to them. And it's an opportunity to build a relationship with readers. I would bet many of you are here today because you got the email saying we're doing this webinar today, right? So email marketing is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your marketing tool chest. James Clear is a great example of this. He writes about habits and human behavior. And he's had an email list for a number of years, one of the best I've ever seen. He sends it out every Thursday, really short, quick tips. He built his subscriber base to over 1 million subscribers. Now, can you imagine what happens when you have 1 million subscribers and you say, hey, publishers and agents, I'm writing a book. I'm sure he got a very fat book deal, and his book has been on the New York Times bestsellers list. It's sold over 10 million copies, all because he built an email list. So if you want people to sign up for your email list, you need to give them a reason to do. We call these lead magnets. It might be the first chapter of your book. It could be some checklists or some worksheets, companion worksheets. Maybe your memoir is set in Las Vegas. It could be a local travel guide to coming to Las Vegas. So think about what would offer value and inspire somebody to sign up for your email list in exchange for this item that you've created for them. And power tip, every one of us should have a link in our books offering readers bonus materials. This is powerful. Amazon does not give you any sales data. You have no idea who's buying your books and where it happens to them after they've downloaded or received your book. So if you want to connect with readers, give them incentive within your book. So I have some companion printable pages, worksheets, the chapters that didn't make it into the book, the lost chapters. That's a popular one. So if you can add that, create a link and sprinkle it in your book. You don't need to over promote it, but hey, readers, download these bonus materials here, create a registration page, and now you're able to stay connected with your readers. Every single one of us should be doing this. All right, mistake number 8, neglecting Amazon reviews. This is a tricky one because reviews are tough to get. I think we all have good intentions, but we get busy, we forget. As an avid reader, I try to remember to write reviews and I don't always follow through on that. But I also personally have a policy to only write positive reviews for writers. It's just a karma thing. But I think we should all be doing our best to write reviews and ask for reviews. We don't know for sure, but somewhere around 50 to 75 reviews of your book kicks in the Amazon algorithms and they start giving your book more appearances in search results and things like that. So, challenge for you today, if you have less than 50 reviews on your book, your goal is to start getting more reviews. We want to increase that. So some ways to get reviews. And by the way, we want verified reviews in particular. That means they purchased the book. If your book has non-verified reviews, a handful of those are fine. But if you have nothing but or mostly non-verified reviews, it tells Amazon and it tells readers that these are your friends writing the reviews, right? So you want to make sure the vast majority of your reviews are coming from people who bought the book. One great way to do that is to do a Kindle promotion, lower the price on your ebook for a couple of weeks and promote it. Have people buy it for $2.99 and then follow up and ask them to write those reviews. And this is a great reason to work with beta readers. Those are the people that you give early access to your manuscript prior to the launch, because those can be your earliest reviewers of your book on Amazon. And even though they got to read it for free, many of them will show their support by buying your book. So we want to ask for these reviews. And you can also, for those that are writing the free reviews, like your beta readers, they can add a disclaimer to the review that says, I received a complimentary copy of this book in exchange for my honest review. That can help prevent that review from getting taken down by Amazon if you have too many that aren't verified. So ask your beta readers to put that on there. Also, who else do you know? Start reaching out. Ask 5 people a week to review your book. We can all do that, right? Ask 5 people a week. If you ever get an email from a reader, which is one of my favorite experiences in life, by the way, when I get a reader email thanking me, that is one of my favorite things. So hit reply, respond to the reader, and then say, would you please take a moment to post a review on Amazon? Just get in the habit of asking. And then writing communities, support each other. Look, you're all here today because you're wanting to market your books. I am going to challenge you within the chat right now. If you want to share review copies of your book with fellow authors here today, post your book in the post what your book is about in the chat and offer a free review copy. You can exchange review copies with each other. This is not an exchange for review. It should only be an honest review if you like the book. But offering review copies of your book and with the hope of getting reviews is a great way to build those reviews. So if you want to do that, I encourage you, post it in the chat right now and connect with each other. You can also do discount ebook campaigns with tools like BookBub or Free Booksy. And then just get in the habit of asking. Whenever somebody mentions they've read my book, I have to remember to say, did you write a review on Amazon? Would you please? And by the way, if you're here today and you've read the book, the marketing book, which by the way, I'm giving away copies today. If you've read the book and you haven't written a review on Amazon, please go do that. All right, mistake number 9, launching your book without a plan. Don't feel bad if this has happened to you because it's very common. But there's a lot of stuff to do before a launch if you want it to go well. So here's basically a checklist. You're creating a book page on your website. You're pre-writing all your announcements to your friends and your family and your peers and your influencers and podcasters. You're sending out review copies to the people that you want talking about your book. You're posting to your blog on launch day. You're pre-writing and scheduling that. Podcast interviews, generally, you want to schedule these months in advance because many podcasts record 2, 3, even 4 or 5 months ahead. And then you want to get your graphics ready for sharing on social media, your social media content. You want to optimize on Amazon. So, setting up your Authors Central account, confirm that the book is shipping. Amazon can be a tricky monster to work with. Ask for those book reviews, get some of those on there. Request 3 categories for each edition of your book on Amazon and incorporate as many keywords as you can. The sales copy on Amazon can be longer than it is on your book jacket. So you can expand the description of your book and add more flavor to it. And then I really do encourage investing in Amazon ads for nonfiction books in particular. They can be really successful. And another checklist for you, you're going to send out all kinds of announcements on launch day to your email subscribers, to associations you belong to, anyone who provided an endorsement. You're going to let them know the book is out and give them the link to buy and support the book. And then lastly, the final mistake I see is giving up on marketing after the book launch. Now, the good news is you're here today, so you haven't given up. But if you're feeling deflated, if you're feeling like the sad dog at the beginning of this presentation, please don't feel that way. You can turn this bus around. So, word of mouth. This is what we want. If you think about when a friend recommends a great local restaurant. I just last night had dinner with some friends and we were all swapping restaurant recommendations. I literally keep a list on my phone of these recommendations. I do the same thing when someone recommends a great documentary or a series they watched or a book that sounds like I would enjoy it. So we want word of mouth. We want people telling others about our books, recommending them. Now, this just happened in the last week. The Wall Street Journal had this fabulous article. I didn't know this story about Theo of Golden. So, this is a novel self-published by Alan Levi. And he has no platform, no social media, none of that. He asked his niece to help him get the word out about the book. And she said, let's start reaching out to everyone you know and asking them to tell their friends about it. So they had them request the book at libraries, recommend it to book clubs. In the first year, his self-published book sold 3,000 copies. That's a huge success, by the way, for any book, is to sell 3,000 copies, especially in the first year. In year 2, they continued this outreach. Please tell people about it, sending out review copies, and they sold 25,000 copies. And in year 3, they immediately sold 125,000 copies. I think that's the right number. And guess what? The publishing world took notice and he was offered a book deal. And it's been on the New York Times bestsellers list. Oprah's interviewed him, all the things, all from a self-published book by reaching out to the community of influence, to the people he knows, and sharing the book. Now, this works best when the book is well written and well edited. So make sure your book is recommendation worthy and then start asking for recommendations. One of our community members has a campaign, and I love this. She's having her community of influence. She's sending out 3 and 5 copies at a time to friends around the country and having them put them in little free libraries. I have one in front of my house. I'm a little free library lover. So imagine that, just any way you can start getting books into the hands of readers. So, another challenge for you today is to start sending out review copies of your book. Now, physical copies are great, but you can also send digital copies. A tool like bookfunnel.com is a great tool for this. It's very inexpensive. So you would send review copies out certainly to anyone that you've mentioned in the book, anyone who's given you an endorsement or a testimonial. Send copies out if you connect with somebody who says they write Amazon reviews, industry bloggers, people with podcasts that reach your target audience, conference organizers, places where you want to get booked to speak. So sending out review copies is one way that we start to build the word of mouth and create these opportunities for speaking, for podcast interviews, and things like that. You can also send a postcard. Look, this is old school and I love it because not enough people are doing this anymore. I get tons of mail and you have to see a postcard. If it's in an envelope, I'm probably not going to see it. I don't open pre-sorted mail. But I guess what? I do see every postcard that lands in my mailbox. So why not mail out a postcard and offer a review copy? And then they can request a review copy from you, and you now have a warm lead you can follow up with. And you can send these, by the way, to college professors that you want to adopt your book into their curriculum. You can send out review copies to people who book speakers for events, to podcasters, things like that. And if they come back and request the copy, that is fantastic. You send them the copy, print or digital, and then you follow up. How many copies should you send out? I would encourage you to challenge yourself to send out at least 100 copies. And yes, that sounds like a lot. And you're probably thinking, but that I've just lost sales then. Those people won't buy the book. But the value of them liking the book and telling others about it is far more valuable than that one sale. And they may not have bought the book to begin with, right? So we want our books in the hands of as many people as possible. And again, digital copies, print copies, it doesn't matter. But the point is to get people talking about your book. We have a community member who left his tech company job and started a consulting practice. And he set a goal of sending out 50 copies of his book every month to prospective clients for his consulting practice. Within 3 months, his business blew up. He completely filled his practice. Review copies can have tons of value for you and your book. And then our goal is ongoing marketing. You are always on tour. You're always looking for more readers. So get in the habit of continuing to send out review copies. If you come across a journalist who writes about your subject, send them a copy or offer a copy, right? Engage in communities where your target audience spends time. And I'm talking about online communities like Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. Are there groups where your target audience is spending time? Go get involved there. Ask the group administrator if you could do a book giveaway, give away 3 copies, or if you could put out a call for beta readers. So we want to have a content strategy. Remember, you're adding new content to your site, ideally once a week, growing your email list, and remembering to have fun with this because I understand that marketing feels daunting, but if you can try to shift your perspective into this is fun and celebrate those wins, celebrate when you land a podcast interview, celebrate when you land a speaking engagement. Those, when you see the results of these efforts, it really makes it all worthwhile. Plus, remember, you're serving your audience. So many of us write nonfiction because we want to make a difference in the world. That is good incentive for doing this marketing work. And I always like to compare this to gardening. If you walk out in your garden and you plant 3 seeds every day and water them, what do you think happens over time? It grows, right? You start to grow a beautiful garden. And that is the same principle with your marketing. If you can plant 3 seeds a day, commit 20 minutes a day, write a blog post, send a podcast pitch, record a video, 20 minutes a day, 3 seeds. I promise you, with time, that effort will grow. All right. I'd love to take your questions. Please, instead of putting them in the chat, put them in the Q&A because I can't fish through that chat. It's very overwhelming, but put it in the Q&A and I am going to take all of your questions. Before I do that, I just want to quickly introduce you all. In case you're new or you aren't yet a member, I'd love for you to understand what membership is in the Nonfiction Authors Association. And if you learned something new today and found it valuable, then listen up because I'd love to share with you. And by the way, I suspect we have many members on this event today. If you are here and you're a member, would you post in the chat what you have benefited from as being a member? I would greatly appreciate you sharing. All right, so sad dog, right? If you're feeling overwhelmed in the publishing industry, and most people are, it is an overwhelming industry. There's conflicting advice out there. There's so many strategies and things that you could be doing. Which one is right? Which one should you do next? And then I see so many authors making costly mistakes. Should you invest this money? Will this work? And then publishing's changing, right? There's AI is blowing up and algorithms are shifting and new platforms are coming on. So if you are feeling this way, you are not alone, but you don't have to feel this way. So really, this is the reason the Nonfiction Authors Association exists. We want to help you sort through that noise. We want to give you more educational material like what you just experienced here today. And our members get access to answers. We have a massive database of answers. We have checklists, templates, legal templates, by the way, permissions letters and things like that. So if you search our database and can't find an answer, we will get you the answer. It's that big. We also help our members get visibility. So every Friday, members get media leads that we curate. So we share podcasts that are looking for guests, and we share sites where you can submit guest articles. Every single week, our members are getting interviews as a result of that. And we host 36 community meetings a year on Zoom. 36. So if you want to connect with writers, this is the place to do it. And so we do the brainstorm exchange where we put writers into small groups, writers, and I should say publishing industry pros, lots of them attend as well, into small groups in Zoom breakout rooms where you can connect with each other, exchange ideas, become each other's beta readers, things like that. We also do the member roundtable every month. I love this one because I lead it, and it's a big open forum where everybody's on screen and we open it up to questions and get them answered. So even if you don't have a question that month, it's always so interesting to hear what the other members are struggling with and learn from them as well. One of our most recent new additions is our genre groups. I'm so excited about these. So we now have a monthly Zoom meeting where you can join into a breakout room based on genre. So whether you're writing memoir or business or spiritual or health and wellness, we have several categories, and you can join a breakout room and connect with fellow writers writing in your same genre. The reviews of the first meeting, we just had the first one a couple of weeks ago, reviews were fantastic. So I think this is going to be a really popular ongoing event that you should be attending with us. It's so fun. Our members also get discounts. We have courses running around year round, and we have our annual conference every May. It's held entirely online. We also have a year-round nonfiction book awards program. And I just highlighted a couple of my favorite testimonials, but joining the NFIA has been one of my best professional investments I've ever made. I've yet to attend a conference, take a course, or review one of Stephanie's email updates and not comment to myself, that just paid for my membership. Thank you, Cynthia Brandt, for that lovely endorsement. I'm not going to read you this whole thing, don't worry, but I just have to share. Joining the Nonfiction Authors Association has been one of the most valuable decisions I've made as an author. The membership goes far beyond what I expected, offering not just expert guidance and practical resources, but a deeply supportive and knowledgeable community of fellow writers and professionals. And we have 3 tiers of membership. I'm going to show you that next, but I wanted to highlight the VIP and thought leader members get our Marketing Momentum Monday emails. This is one actionable advanced marketing tactic that you can implement in 20 minutes or less that moves the needle. So this week we shared a tactic on how to sell your books by the hundreds. So it's a bulk sales tip, an actionable advanced marketing strategy. So these are available to VIP and thought leader members. So 3 tiers of membership. Authority, if you're new to publishing, you're just getting started, this is a great place to start. It's $390 a year or $39 a month, and it gives you access to the database, the 36 meetings a year, the discounts. It's a great starting point. VIP membership is for more professional level. That's $790 a year. And that includes those advanced marketing Monday emails, free admission to the Nonfiction Writers Conference, and access to our entire database of author toolkits. And then lastly, the Thought Leader membership is our premium tier. This is if you are aiming for thought leadership and you want to submerge yourself in all the learning. It is our all you can eat. You get all of our courses free and all these other benefits that come with it. You get a free Nonfiction Book Awards entry, a free featured listing on Nonfiction Book Club. That's $24.90 a year. We also have quarterly plans. So no matter where you are in your journey, I would encourage you to think about joining us because we guarantee satisfaction, but we also have a really low turnover rate for a membership organization. And I really am proud that we work very hard to deliver a ton of value. So if when you join us, you get a supportive community, you get your questions answered, no more confusion. We'll help you get visibility with those podcast leads, and we do member success stories on our site and socials, tons of savings on the courses, the conference, the book awards, and just all the good things. So if you join us today, new members only, if you join us today, I'm going to send you a copy of my marketing workbook. And if you're in the US, we'll send you a print. If you're international, we'll send you a digital copy. But this thing is massive, you guys. It's the marketing book. It's huge. I referenced it myself, the book I wrote, because it's so juicy. So over 200 pages. I will send you a copy today if you join us. So you don't need to do this alone. We can all be the happy dog and really remove that confusion and that overwhelm and get the support you need. So I'd love to see you. Nonfictionauthorsassociation.com/join. If you do it today, I'll send you the book. If you're an existing member and you want to upgrade to VIP or thought leader, we will prorate what you've paid so far. So just send an email to help@nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. Let them know you want to upgrade and they'll prorate what you've paid and apply it toward VIP or thought leader membership. All right. I hope to see you there. Let's get into your questions. Here we go. All right. Thank you for that. Let's look at the Q&A. All right. For books sold on sites other than Amazon, where do you want them to leave their reviews? So Dinah, that's a good question. Look, we believe somewhere around 70% of all books are being sold on Amazon. All books, 70%. So you don't have to buy the book on Amazon to write the review there. So you still really want to focus on Amazon, but I would say second to that would be Goodreads as well. Julia, any suggested review sites for those of us who are anti-Amazon? Oh, Julia, I feel ya. Yeah, and Amazon also owns Goodreads. You could put all your love into Bookshop. Bookshop.org is a great place to route book buyers. So the way that works is Ingram runs Bookshop. And if somebody buys your book through bookshop.org, it routes that sale to a local bookstore that then fulfills your order. So it's a wonderful way to support bookshops and not have to sell through Amazon. Eileen, requests of Amazon, 3 categories of each edition. Eileen, yeah, let me clarify the Amazon category thing. So each edition of your book, the Kindle edition, the paperback, the hardcover, the audiobook can all be listed in three unique categories on Amazon. So, Amazon categories are a whole big ball of twine to talk about, but it is important that you choose the right categories on Amazon to get visibility for your book. And if you're published through KDP, you can update your categories there. If you're published anywhere else, you can request category changes through your Author Central account. How do you protect your book copy when you send it out? Maybe copyright is what you're asking, Eileen. I'm not sure I understand that question. Your copyright registration should be done through copyright.gov for sure to help protect the copyright of your book. If you have a different question, feel free to post it. Risha says, how do you send review copies of ebooks? You mentioned the name. So it's bookfunnel.com. Bookfunnel.com is a really inexpensive and great tool. We use it a lot to send out digital copies. And what's nice about BookFunnel is it gives the recipient their choice. Do they want to download it for their Kindle reader, for Apple iBooks, for whatever digital reading tool they prefer? They get to choose, and you can track those downloads with that tool. Patricia says, I'm going to advertise in local shopper papers to reach the rural audience. I struggle to find a single paper company that owns a lot of markets. Have you heard of any experience with this? Oh, Patricia, that is a great marketing is testing, right? Marketing is testing. So you don't know until you try it. I haven't heard of great experience with ads like that, but that's not to say it can't work. So if your target audience is a rural audience, rural readers, and they're opening those publications, and you can get some inexpensive test advertising, it's probably not a bad thing to start with just one or two and make sure it works before you invest in a bunch of them. But it sounds like you're going to have to go to one at a time. A lot of those publications are owned by individuals. Best ways to build email lists for B2B. B2B, a webinar. Webinar is a great way to do it. Many of you are here probably for the first time, and it could be because we ran a Facebook ad or we posted on social media and it was shared. So we do tons of educational webinars. I love delivering them, inviting your YouTube video readers to join. So coming up with what's of value to business owners or the people who run companies, it's really not that different. It's just figuring out what do they care about and how do you serve their interests, needs, and challenges. Christine, does this apply to a book written in 2022? Yeah, everything I talked about today, you can restart marketing at any time, right? So restart, and you could even potentially relaunch your book if you feel like it's time to give it an update. Kathy says, I&D strategies are under unprecedented scrutiny. HR leaders, how do you navigate an international audience? It can cost over $50 to send one book. That's where you send a digital copy. So yeah, I figured that content wasn't related, Kathy, but go ahead and just send out digital copies to international audiences. At what point do you start scheduling blogging, speaking, etc. when you send the book to beta readers, when you start final edits? Great question, Sandra. Look, marketing starts yesterday. Nobody likes to hear this, but it's the truth. Marketing is just so important. And what you don't want to do is wait until the book comes out, which is very common, but then you're kind of starting from square one. So the better time to start it is before the book comes out. Start getting people excited, sharing that it's coming, putting your lead magnets out on social media, inviting people to subscribe to your lists. Start updating your blog. You could use excerpts from your book, right? Scheduling speaking. Some of those engagements are booked months in advance. So scheduling them at least several months prior to the launch is good. But yeah, start today, no matter where you are in this process. Richard says, NFAA is the only organization for authors I'm a member of. Oh, thanks, Richard. Lots of benefits. I appreciate that. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Eileen says, do you recommend bringing book to sell at these events if you're speaking? Heck yes, Eileen, you absolutely sell your books at these events. In fact, that is one of the conditions of you speaking is that you should be allowed to set up a table and sell your books after your engagement. So make sure that's part of your agreement with the organization. Do you ask for an honorarium? It really depends. When you're just getting started, don't expect an honorarium. Do all the free speaking, do the Rotary and the Kiwanis and the small trade associations. You're getting experience, you're building up your portfolio of speaking. So the honorarium it doesn't have a whole lot of value to it. But as you build and maybe you speak to larger organizations, then you can start commanding an actual speaker fee. But for today's purposes, we're talking about marketing to sell your books as a speaker. I know we're getting to the top of the hour, so I'm going to stay and keep answering questions. If you want to stay with me, great. If you don't, I understand. If you have another commitment, you will get the recording and slides later today. I hope you'll join us. I actually meant to post the link in the chat, so I'm going to post that there really quickly and then continue to answer the questions. For those of you who have to go, thanks for spending your time with me. I hope this was valuable. And for the rest of you, let's keep this party going. All right, Eva Maria says, what is the best way to share the news of a book launch with one's large audience on LinkedIn? Should not be an advertisement, of course. Celebrate an achievement, attach the look inside as a PDF. What are your recommendations? I love this question. So we want to start ahead of the book launch, building anticipation. Maybe you ask your LinkedIn audience to help vote on titles or vote on cover designs. That gets people really interested. They love voting on stuff. And then start letting them know the book has gone to press. The book is coming. Get ready. Sign up to get notified when it's available. Start building that anticipation. And then the content you're going to be sharing. So we talked about your foundational content, blog, podcast, or video. You're going to start posting that and sharing that on LinkedIn and asking people, what do you think about this topic or whatever it is? Because LinkedIn is more of a conversation, but you're starting to share that and mention the book as part of that. But you don't want to get in on any social media network and just make it all about your book, my book, my book, my book. You want to mix it with value, providing value to your target audience, addressing those interests, needs, and challenges. Tim, how do you engage with editors and media to get a review of your book? So book reviews are tricky in major media outlets, Tim. A lot of those are reserved for the big publishers. If your book's with a big publisher, they may have a connection for you. You might have better luck with a small local publication and things like that. But I would say major media book reviews are really difficult to get. You can look for book review submission guidelines through any publication and see if they accept them. But I'm not going to tell you that's an easy one to get. Mark says, does it make sense to rent and email your book to the email subscribers of journals that serve the same audience? Yes, Mark, I love this. So yeah, you can rent email lists or mailing lists for postcards and absolutely promote your book to subscribers of a publication where your readers are spending time. Absolutely fabulous tactic. I love that. Daria, we don't have a poetry group. Primarily, we focus on nonfiction, but we certainly have poets within this community. Mike says, is there a best way to find good online influencers and do so at low or no cost? My upcoming book is a rhyming children's picture book that I anticipate will be very well reviewed by parents. What's the best way to find ethical influencers? Mike, you just start searching the social media networks for those keywords, right? For parents, people who are writing about parents, people who are reviewing children's books, and just start there and then go to their websites, look for their contact information or mailing address and start doing the outreach. So it is a grind to get out there and do this work, but you absolutely can do that. Tim says, increasing Amazon reviews by discounting book price. How do you connect with interested buyers? So, Tim, the discounting the book price can do a couple of things. It gives you a chance to alert people, hey, the book is on sale for the next 2 weeks. You can grab it. You can enroll in Amazon's KDP Select program. It would take me an hour to explain that, but you could potentially do that and do free book giveaways, ebook giveaways. I like that more for fiction and maybe some memoir. But discounting the book allows a spur of sales to happen, hopefully. And if you tie that in maybe with some Amazon ads, it can boost your sales, and therefore more sales leads to more reviews, typically. Iris says, I think 5 on paperback books and 3 categories for Kindle. No, there's 3 categories per type of book. Amazon changed that a while back. Alexa says, do you have a membership tier for international member? We have lots of international members, Alexa. No special tier without Amazon in the full American market. I'd love to learn. Yeah, I would say this is one of the benefits, Alexa. If you learn something today, you'll learn something in our community for sure. We do a lot of education, and it's not all about Amazon by any stretch. And we absolutely have members in dozens of countries, so we'd love to have you join us. Tim says, do book contests for authors worth the cost of application? So, book award programs absolutely can have value. The award itself is rarely going to lead to any great book sales, right? But you have now become an award-winning author, and that has credibility in the title. Sometimes these programs will promote you on their sites or their social media, but the award itself is impressive, putting those stickers on the books, sharing on LinkedIn that the book won an award, sharing on your socials. So I think it absolutely can have value to participate in some award programs. I don't think you need 10 of them, but 1 or 2 book awards is great. Jim says, for prospective nonfiction, are traditional publishers asking for shorter books? What word count is advisable for prescriptive? Yeah, Jim, shorter books have been on trend, but I would say the traditional publishers are still probably stuck back in time a little bit, and generally they're still looking for 50,000, 60,000 words. Now, there's an exception to every rule. Some traditional publishers may love a shorter book. Eileen says, so for beta copies or advanced review copies, do you watermark? I don't. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about my books getting shared or pirated. Quite frankly, does it happen? It does. But it could happen with or without you sharing review copies, right? They could borrow a book at a library, they could buy a copy and copy every page of it. So I don't spend a lot of time protecting that. And in fact, when I share my PDF of my books with my beta readers, I put on the PDF, if you know someone who would enjoy this, please feel free to forward it along. I encourage the sharing of the book. I don't view that as a lost sale. I view that as a new fan. Michelle, best way to build email lists from scratch and how to get blog readers to the email list. Okay. So building email lists for every one of us has to start at ground zero, right? My first newsletter 20 plus years ago went out to 8 subscribers. My own family didn't even sign up. So you start where you start. You put together your lead magnet, whether that's your free chapter or worksheets or whatever it is, and you share that far and wide. Share it with your social media followers, share it with family and friends, start getting the word out. Host your own webinars if you want to. If you want your blog readers to join your email list, you put a call to action at the end of each blog post. So, did you enjoy this blog post about gluten-free living? Sign up or download our free list of gluten-free crackers, right? Or whatever your lead magnet is, put it at the end of every blog post, and that will drive subscribers. Dinah says, I recently sent books to review companies of Story Circle and Midwest Book Review. Are there other reputable review organizations that don't cost a lot? So Midwest Book Review has been around a long time. They're great, very reputable. No, most review sites like that, and when we talk about review sites, these are editorial reviews. It's very different from Amazon reviews. Editorial reviews tend to be in the neighborhood of $300 to $400, and they're done through sites like Kirkus, Kirkus, Book Life. Those are great for publishing industry visibility, but you're going to spend $300 to $400 for those. And I do recommend them. Librarians read those reviews. The publishing industry, agents, editors, they read those reviews. Natasha says, I have to provide a number of books that I want shipped to me that I bring to events. How many books should I plan to sell at a given event? Great question. So generally, if you can sell books to 25 to 30% of the audience, you've had a great event. So generally, if I know there's going to be 100 people there, I will bring 25 or 30 copies. And if you run out, you can take orders and ship them after. James, what's your experience with Kirkus reviews? So yeah, I just mentioned Kirkus, very well respected by the publishing industry. And those reviews give you great visibility with librarians, publishing industry, bookstore owners, things like that. And it's something you can add to your Amazon page. So I do think they have value. I get a Kirkus review recommendation, and Amazon is making me let them post it. 2 months have gone by. That's a new one. I have not heard of that, Risha. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. Amazon is such a pain. I would say be relentless and just keep emailing them for help and ask Author Central. Because I'm surprised you can't. You should be able to add that to your book page. Eileen says, does Amazon randomly discount your books? Yeah, they do. So Amazon sets pricing on books and all products across the site. You have no control over that, but it also doesn't affect your earnings. If Amazon discounts your book, that comes out of their share, not yours. And I always view discounts as a good thing. It probably just helps inspire more sales. All right, I think I did it. I think we got through all the Q&As. I hope this was helpful. I can't wait to read through the chat and see what everyone talked about here. But I appreciate you all. I'd love to see you in our community. I will share the slides on the recording later today. And I look forward to hearing about your successes with your marketing. Thanks, everyone, for spending time with me. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you for attending this webinar by the Nonfiction Authors Association. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you need support navigating the complexities of the publishing industry and want to reach your author goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com.